Hey, you guys, you are on with Ali, and this is another day in the life with Ali. I am sitting here this evening, multitasking, as I always do. And sometimes I multitask and I'm not quite sure if I'm actually completing a task or if I am just busy. But anyway, I wanted to jump on and chat with you guys. I've had today, yesterday, this week has just been a kind of a melting pot of energies and synergies and things like that. And as you guys may have been looking at my posts on social media, Instagram and Facebook, y'all see that I went on a safari. And it was fantastic. Like, I will go again, like now. But it was also exhausting, which is so crazy because we sat in a Jeep like all day. And I think maybe that was it. I'm still talking to some of my friends who accompanied me, and they're like, literally, they're still tired. Like, I think after my first day, I slept the next day for like 4 hours in the middle of the day, and then I went back to sleep that night. But anyway, it was interesting. It was more than just the animals and the excitement to see the animals, but it was almost kind of like a renewing and awakening. Hey, everybody that's joining. Let me go to my comments. I'm going to stop myself really quick. If you are on Facebook, type a comment so I can see if I can actually read your post because, or let me go on Facebook. Hold on. Can't post comments to some destinations. Because I want to see if I can actually see you guys' comments because I know sometimes people comment from Facebook and it does not pop up on here for me. So let me do that really quick. A quick break in the action before we get too started, get too far gone in this video. Make sure that it's actually on. It is, and if not, if it's not, then I can actually read it from the phone. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Hold on, let me see if I can hear myself. Okay, perfect. So yeah, I realized going on the safari, and not realized, but it was kind of like boom, the jolt that I was reminded when I was on the safari. How much I like exploring, how much I like seeing things. Not like I need to be reminded of that, but how much I like to move around and see something different and but then also how I kind of get in these spots where I'm complacent, or not complacent is such a complacent seems like a negative word, the way that we sometimes use it, but comfortable. And I can be, so I have ebbs and flows, or some I'm ambivert. I can be really outgoing and out there and moving around and shaking, or sitting still and moving around and shaking, meaning that my mind is constantly moving and shaking and thinking of what's next, what to do. Or I can be in potentially in a slumber, even just like you know out of it and needing a chill. But when I was on the safari, I realized, you know, how alive I feel when I'm seeing or exploring, or maybe it's just the fresh air. When I walk out in the fresh air, I could be like dog tired, walk out in the fresh air and then bam, it's like you just hit me with, an adrenaline shot or something like that. And it's amazing what it feels like. But it was just a wonderful, like euphoria almost, just to be out there, to be in the presence of these animals, wild animals. And I almost couldn't believe it. And it was kind of weird because I was like, I've seen animals before. I've seen lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, I had to do that. I've seen giraffes. If you guys saw the video from 2 years ago when the giraffe was inside my car with me and my grandson, I've been up close and personal, and that was not at a zoo. That was actually at a preserve in Texas. So I've seen some beasts roaming around, but not necessarily in a true natural habitat. Yes, I've seen elephants. I even rode on an elephant, and I'll never do it again. Um, I've been up close to, different kind of animals, never up close to a lion or a tiger or a bear for that matter. But there was something about being in Africa and seeing them. And it just like exploded my whole system, from head to toe. It was so rewarding. And I don't know, I haven't really pinpoint, the why it was so rewarding for me, except that, it is something that I have wanted to do. I've always wanted to come to Africa and go on safari and see some wild animals moving around in their natural habitat without, with minimal impact from humans, because they are impacted because we're driving through the park. Um, they never saw cars until the highway was built in right in the middle of this particular park. But I say all that to say, it was a very good experience, and the timing was perfect because at the same time I was, and still am, trying to figure out my next move. I've been in Dar for 2.5 months. I've been in Tanzania for 3.5 months. In case y'all didn't know. And I am still wanting to explore Tanzania. Y'all, Tanzania is huge. It is huge, huge. And there's so much to see. And I almost feel like I kind of got in a rut, but it wasn't really a rut. It was, is this the place for me? Is this where I'm supposed to be? And so, that led to the question, why am I here? Why am I here in Tanzania? Is this where I want to be? Is this kind of the long-term plan? And I don't know. Like right now, if I had to answer that for $5 million, I'd probably give an answer. If I couldn't say I don't know, I'd give an answer because I'm going to give my $5 million. But I don't know if this is the final destination. But in order for me to determine that, I got to move around. And so, through all of this, there's so many things that I encounter, both physically, subliminally, mentally, along this journey, because every single day is a journey. Even if it's just a journey through my mind, it's a journey. And just trying to even answer the question for myself, why am I here? I'm 49 years old, solo traveling, loving it. Um, Sometimes aggravated by it. Not necessarily traveling itself, but the situations, the incidents, the things that happen. Um, Annoyed by it sometimes, but wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean? Like I have no desire to come back to the United States. Um, I would love to see some people, and I've even sent people screenshots of how cheap the prices are round trip to fly to Dar es Salaam right now. Because I have no desire to come back. Like it actually, one of our roommates left yesterday, and I actually felt this deepened concern for her because she had to get on that flight and go back home. And it was a choice. I mean, she could have stayed if she wanted, but this was a vacation for her, not a relocation. And I literally, like, I felt heavy for her. And it wasn't even her. She wasn't feeling bad. I mean, she ready to go. But I was just like, oh, I have no desire. I have no desire to be back in the States. Not to say that I won't end up back in the States for whatever reason. I have things still going on there. I have a life still there. Technically, I have a house, car, kids, grandbaby, who I talked to technically, was it last night? Yeah. So I have connections. My parents are still there. My brothers are still there. My friends are still there. You guys, those of you who are not here in Tanzania. And so, I ask, why am I here regularly? 49-year-old solo female traveler, um, not retired, but not employed through corporate America. I quit my job a year ago. Um, you know, People ask me a number of things like, how do I make it? How am I doing it? And I kind of started this whole just talk with, you know, this surge of energy, these different feelings and synergies and things that I experience. There's a message. Hold on. Hoa, Armani. Mambo VP. So now the messages are coming through. Fantastic. So, these different feelings and people asking different questions and people responding to the things that I'm sharing and posting and just with elation and some with shock and some with, heightened feelings of, how are you doing some of these things? Hey, Coffee, how are you? Um, and it's interesting because on one hand, it's amazing. And then on the other hand, I'm like, but it was just that. It wasn't, it wasn't something that, I looked at that was, like when I went on the safari. I'll give you an example. I had a number of people that said, wow, you're kind of, really brave or whatever. We had an elephant charge at us. That was fantastic. Like, I loved it. We were like this from here, where I'm sitting, to the end of the table, my coffee table right here, away from a lion. Yes, it could have jumped in the truck because they have hops. They got hops. And I wasn't concerned at all. And my friends, even my son made a comment. He was like, Mom, I worry about you because, you're out here doing these things and, anything can happen. And, these situations that pop up with just being around in places as solo female. And, so I want to definitely talk about being a solo female traveler more often because I think more of us are doing it or wanting to do it. It's not exclusive to women and it does not exclude men. But I kind of want to share some of my experiences as I go. But this week it's just been this extra energy, and I'm like I was saying, I'm at a point where I'm getting ready to physically shift. And every time I do it, I'm just like, oh my God, I gotta pack up all this stuff. And while all I have, y'all, is one big duffel, it's a big duffel, it's like that big of a duffel, and a backpack, traveler's backpack, and another backpack, and another bag, and another bag, and I've accumulated so many things since I've been here for 3.5 months. And so shifting those things, moving that stuff around, finding places to put those things, because I'm going somewhere for 2 weeks minimum, depending on what my setup is there and how I feel, what energies I feel, whether or not I can, comfortably, mentally comfortably continue to pursue my business. Hey, multifaceted, how are you? Continue to pursue my wellness business, because you got to be in a good headspace when you're doing wellness, yoga, health, making sure that you have some semblance of balance and things like that. So it really just depends, and that's what I mean. Like just being able to just move around. I hate that I have so much stuff, quite frankly. So I really feel like I am a nomad. Deep inside, I have nomad tendencies. Hold on, I need to do that, guy. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. I can only see the YouTube video comments on the page, then not my Facebook, but there's commentary, so it's really weird. But hey, everybody. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Ben. Hey, Mark. In the Facebook world, I just saw the pop-up with you guys' names on it. But yeah, so as I'm going through this and I'm trying to figure out why am I here, why am I in Tanzania, there's so many reasons that I immediately think of when I kind of say, how did I end up here? People ask, why did you come there? Have you moved yet? Have you relocated? And no, I haven't. And I wonder if I'll ever settle in one place. Like I want to find one country that is my base, and it won't be the U.S. And let me tell y'all, that didn't just happen because of COVID. It didn't happen because of the last 4 years in the U.S. Presidential history. That wasn't it. I've been planning this since before my son graduated from high school, which was 11 years ago, 12 years ago. So I've been planning this escape route for quite some time, quite frankly. So this isn't new. It's been who I am for the longest. This isn't, midlife crisis or, you're going through a phase or, whatever. It's none of that. This is what I've always wanted. This is, a part of who I am, the adventure part, the exploration part, there's 171 other countries part. And before COVID, before, the last presidency, we had a very powerful passport. We could go everywhere. There was nowhere that we couldn't go. There was places we probably shouldn't go, but there was nowhere we could not go. So it's kind of one of those things like, why should one just sit and do nothing? Why should one sit and not explore the rest of the world? And for me, it was a no-brainer. It was you have the ticket. My passport was my ticket. And it wasn't something that I took lightly. Like I have had my I'm on my second one. I know some people who are on probably 3 or 4, but it was never something that I looked at and was like, it is what it is. It's always been like it's the gate, the golden gate, getting through to going to the other side for me. And so it's always been something that I've wanted to be able to do. Hey, nice Nikki. You said, are you bored when you're home in Texas? Bored? No, I'm never bored because I have so much to do. I'm often exhausted. That's probably a better word. I'm never bored. There's always something to do, I'm assuming you mean like, am I sitting around going, oh, there's nothing for me to do? No, it's not that as much as it's um, there's so much more to see. And I'm really big into culture. I'm really big into um, dispelling myths. I'm really big into bridging cultural gaps. I'm in Africa, and what better place to bridge a cultural gap than Africa, right? Because we hear so many stories. We've been led down so many paths and belief scenarios and things like that. And you know, for me, I'm a big person. If people who know me know that there's a couple things about me. Number one, I'm a problem solver, so I'm not gonna listen to griping, crying, and complaining forever. Let's come up with a solution and fix it. Um, and number two, what's the truth? Is that the truth? That sounds fishy? And I'm gonna tell you, all the way to I'm a PK questioning my parents about religion. This just doesn't make any sense. Now, it didn't get me on. I didn't, end up on the good side of those types of conversations. But it was. There's got to be something else. This doesn't make any logical sense. Trying to figure those things out, and really just um, creating a space where we feel comfortable asking the appropriate questions and not just settling with somebody just handed us. I am the biggest person of you can't force me to believe something if I'm not settled with it. Like, I've got to determine and figure out whether or not that answer, that bottom line is okay. And maybe that's the bottom line, but that does not mean I have to agree with it or accept it or believe it or, not pursue um, uh, my own bottom line, my own final line. So that was a long-winded. Am I bored? Because that question is really weird. The word is. I mean, I think of a kid in a classroom that is not. Uh, or maybe not even a classroom, because I was going to say stimulated, and stimulated could be one of the things I need to be stimulated a little bit more. But it's sitting at home, and the parents have taken everything out of their room, and they have absolutely nothing to do. So that's what I think of when I think of bored. Are you finding any close friendships and connection in Tanzania? Actually, yes. And that's another thing. Like, I think that's also what kind of is tying me to Tanzania, besides the fact that it's a huge country and I haven't been anywhere yet. I've only been like boom, 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 like Zanzibar, Dar, Kigamboni. I just went to Bagamoyo last week. Went through Morogoro, didn't stay in Morogoro, went to Mikumi for the safari. Now I'm going to head up north and then hopefully from north go west and then maybe cross the border, because at some point I got to cross the border anyway. So there's so much to explore, and literally every place you go, there's similarities, but there's differences. Seeing villages where people still live in ways that we've seen on television it's amazing. It's like, okay, wow, y'all literally live like this every day, and that's their way of life. But um, in doing some of this exploration, when I got here to Dar es Salaam, I reached out to, which I normally do. I'm in a lot of expat groups. Most of the time when I travel somewhere, I join an expat group so that I can go to their meet and greets, because most expat groups have meet and greets, especially if it's around a holiday. And so I tend to join them and I end up meeting people. I have one friend in Portugal who I literally will go and visit. We keep in touch still via WhatsApp. I met her back in 2018, and I've been to Portugal twice and make sure that I stop and see her. So, true relationships, kind of connections with people. Here, I joined a group kind of on a whim, and it was actually very good. I reached out in the group and just said, hey, anybody want to, meet me for coffee? I live in this area. I just got here. I'll be looking for an apartment soon, yada, yada, another apartment. This was back in January. And literally only two people responded to me at that time. And those two people are the two people that, I hang out with a couple of other people too that we kind of forged our own little group from. But I hang with those people all the time. We chat. One of them is back in the States now because she had family emergency, and the other one is here from the UK. I've got UK friends now that I never really had before. Meeting people from the US that I would never have met had it not be for our connection here in Dar es Salaam. So yes, I am. It's actually the neatest thing is that I am here making those types of connections. And I did that too when I was in Tulum. And I think some of that comes too from being in a place for so long and literally walking around. It's like, this is home. I walk around, I walk out, walk down the street, like anybody else. I go to the corner store, the guy knows me. I come in, I buy my fruit. I go to the 24-hour store to get my water. We got security at the front. So it's like this, there's a routine to a certain extent, and expectation. People see you and they expect to see you. So it's growing. It's almost like moving to another country, and I shouldn't say moving, but being in another country for an extended period of time in the beginning seems so much like when you move from one city to the next, right? And you're getting adapted and all of those things, and you start to normalize it, and your presence starts to become normal for other people. But in terms of building connections, I'm actually, being invited to be in different groups because I'm living the life that I've wanted. It's also affording me opportunities to speak about it and share my experiences with other people as well. So, connections, I've had connections before, but one of the things I was thinking about today is you know, meeting people who have the same plight in life as you do. You don't have to want all the same things, but like directionally, we're going in the same place. We use the term like-minded all the time, almost too much, but we use the term like-minded all the time. And do we really know what that means? Because like-minded isn't just an agreement. Like-minded is we are walking the same without telling each other where we're walking. That's what it is for me. I don't have to give you my blueprint because we keep meeting each other on this path. So for me, it can be like my health and wellness. And I realize that I am yearning for other people who are as invested in their health and their wellness as I am. Because while I motivate and inspire myself, being inspired by someone else's plight, their movement, the way that they're going, their journey, it's also needed because my bank needs to be filled as well. Not necessarily somebody giving to me, but looking at someone, seeing their energy and allowing that glow to fill me as well, right? And so, I've been trying to place myself in the right frame, the right energy space to receive the appropriate connections too, so that I'm not always pulling in the people that are just taking. They're not even leeches. You know how a leech be like right here. Leech don't stay with you. Leech is like this. Although I guess energy vultures do too, But you know how people just take and take and take, and they'll take. But I guess a leech will take and it'll blow up and get real full with all your blood, and they'll still suck on you. Ew. I thought of Rambo. Remember the Rambo when Sylvester Stallone they put him in that water in the swampy water, and he came out with all the leeches on. That's what I just thought of. Anyway, What cultural things do you miss from your U.S. life? Is the culture in Tanzania filling your soul and spirit? So what do I miss from the U.S.? It's funny because I literally had kind of a list of things that I was thinking of when I said, "Why am I here?" And what do I miss? And I was like, "What do I miss?" My family, of course. Um, there's little things like nuance type things that I miss. Um, Things like access to things, which I know I've talked about in other videos and things like that. Of course, I already said my family and friends, but access to things and learning how to function and survive without having certain things that you normally always have. I think, and it could be a number of things. Some of it is food. Some of it is my wellness packet of things. So when I came here, I didn't come here with every one of my bags packed because I still had a house. I literally was at home long enough to try to prepare my house to rent, pack a bag, and get on a plane and leave because I was so determined to be gone before my birthday. I always travel on my birthday, and plus I wanted to be gone before any of this election stuff hit and all of that. So I left in December. Um, and I had already been gone for 4 months, so I had just gotten home so that I could pack to leave again. And so I didn't pack like most of the people that I've met here, which is they have no life in the U.S. Like they are. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but most of them came here with everything they own, or they boxed up everything, put it in storage like an eat, pray, love situation, threw it in storage, and said, "Okay, I'm going to be gone for so much time, and or I'm leaving, and we're going to have to figure this out." Most of the friends that I've met, these people are like they are done with the UK, they are done with Canada, they are done with the US, and they are here, 16 bags in all. I came with one bag just trying to make it out quick enough before, the ish hit the fan. And so, I miss simple things like my juicer, my black soap, all of my health and wellness products that I'd love to be able to make myself so I'm not sitting in the store trying to read a soap box and figure out what is in this soap. Can I just have something that's natural? Trying to find my essential oils. I literally just talked to someone who just got to Tanzania a couple weeks ago, and somebody is coming in, a friend of theirs is coming in from New York, and they are allowing me to order some things from Amazon to have them shipped to their friend's house in New York so they can bring it to me. You guys know what the top thing is on my list that I ordered? The top thing that's on my list that I ordered? Contact solution. Y'all, contact solution. So there's little things, they have it here, but a small bottle is $15. So little things like that, being able to comfortably eat greens, kale, lettuce. There's no kale. It's just one of those leafy greens that just doesn't grow here. Every once in a while, I think I've seen maybe somebody has a kale salad or something. I think I've seen it once. I used to eat kale every day, so I'm missing. So it's little things like that. I don't miss the States in terms of being there, like being present. I'm sitting in a regular living room. I'm gonna move my camera. Sitting in a regular living room. So, we have the standard, excuse all my stuff on my table. Standard living as if I was, in the States. In this particular place, every place is a little bit different. Everybody's apartment, some are even better, some are not as great. But so I don't miss. Oh, my light's about to die. I don't miss that type of thing in terms of just being in a space where I'm comfortable living because I love traveling around. I love going to different places. And you'll find very similar things everywhere. Never let someone tell you that the United States is the only, or Europe are the only places where you'll get like modern um, amenities and accommodations, because that's not true. Or that you have to be on an island somewhere to get those things. That's not accurate. Um, what else? What else do I miss? That was a great question because it was actually going to be one of my topics to talk about uh, things that I don't have here that, does it make or break you? So, just some of those basic things. There's little nuances here. I miss being able to effectively communicate with everybody because they speak Swahili. And so I learn a few little, words and things. And as I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to be, I am going to sign up and take, a true Swahili class because they actually offer it online. The instructor that I started taking a class with, he offers his classes online. And so the only way to really function in a place where you're going to be there for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months, and maybe even longer if you choose to stay there, plus the surrounding countries speak Kiswahili as well, it makes sense to learn the language. The other part of it too is there's a respect level that comes with it. So maybe that's something that I miss is you know um, being established. In the States, I'm established. I can move about easily. I don't need to rely on other people or cars or things like that. And here I am, while I'm self-sufficient, I'm also relying on others. Like I'm simply just trying to buy a bus ticket. Y'all, just trying to find out where the bus station ticket office organization backseat drop, whatever, wherever it is, has been like I've been trying to figure this out for 2 weeks. The other flip part is I'm trying to avoid going to a certain part of town because it's so hectic. So I was trying to do things online or on the phone. So I miss conveniences. But having things easy doesn't always make it better. Um, Sometimes we need easy so it doesn't cause us stress. But having challenges that make you step out of your comfort zone, it's rewarding. It's rewarding because sometimes you're sitting, you go, wow, I didn't think I would do this. I didn't think I would do that. I didn't think I could do certain things. Or, you realize that there's so much more that you can accomplish when you decide to, when you put your heart to it. Is the culture in Tanzania filling your soul and spirit? I am trying to find that. Where I am right now, not so much, and I think that's because I'm missing the nature, and so I am headed to a place that is going to fulfill me from more natural standpoint. Um, give me that what I'm hoping I'm missing, as well as keep me close to an area that I want to be close to. So it's fulfilling in that I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be in this position to be able to explore this country this way. I've only, when I typically travel, it's about 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and I'm hopping from one place to another, never staying more than 5 days, typically only 3 or 4. And so to have this experience this way, in the motherland, the mama land over here, the East, uh, largest continent where we where we live, it's amazing. So there's so many levels to everything. There are some things that I'm fulfilled in, and some things that I'm just not. And I know it's because I'm not in that place that I need to be at to completely be at peace. And so getting up, saying, okay, I'm going to pack these bags, or I'm going to find a way so that I don't have to tote all this garbage, start to call things garbage when I'm tired of it. I don't have to carry all these things around with me. That's those are part of my daily goals, and reaching out to people and asking people to assist. And so that's what I was saying earlier. I could get around in the States without, much consultation of anyone, unless I was going somewhere new. But even still, I mean, Google is a fantastic tool in the States. It's very easy to figure things out. It's harder to figure things out. I don't care how many things I read, trying to figure something out here or in another country, but since I'm in Africa, it's tougher. It's tougher to get down to the nitty gritty, the things that you need to know to feel safe, to know that you're going to get from point A to point B, that you're going to get whatever it is that you're trying to resolve. All of those things, it's not as easy as going, well, Google it and find out, because you're going to get the same answer all the time, and none of it's going to answer your question. But having those comforts and all those things at the tips of my fingers caused me to be complacent as well. And so I kind of like the idea that I'm being forced to reach out to people and ask them, hey, simple things like today, hey, can I bring some of my things to your place, and leave them, because I don't want to carry this stuff around with me. And, having to, ask somebody for a favor. It's not something I do very often at all. And so I'm learning there's little baby steps in here, things that I think that I needed to experience and kind of go through. And I don't know if I would have at this capacity if I was in the States. But that was a fantastic suite of questions. Multifaceted. Do you have an email address I plan to visit? Yes, I do. Contact Ali, ALI, at mindyourbodyandsoul.com. And I'll type it in here. Actually, I can type it right now. I would like to come to Tanzania and explore, but I don't want rush. Then country home. Want to rush the country? Is that what you're saying? Nikki, I feel that making a home base comes down to feeling comfortable at your core, feeling something at your core, that you're not an outsider. Do people invite you to weddings, family dinners, beach parties, etc.? You're talking about locals. When I first got here, not when I first got here, when I first got to Dar, I had rented another place. I had rented an apartment, what I thought was a really nice apartment, because the pictures they took were phenomenal, but in essence, that didn't work out. And I was kind of in a loose panic mode, but not really. I was in a, well, whatever happens, happens. We're going to work this out. We're going to figure it out. I'm in Dar. There's got to be an apartment, yada, yada. And I ended up being in a space where someone reached out to me, lady who worked there, asked me if I was okay. I was like, I need to be able to charge my phone and get some Wi-Fi, because I can't do anything without Wi-Fi. And I had Wi-Fi, so if you ask, yes, I had 30 gigs of Wi-Fi, 30 gigs or whatever when I was in Zanzibar, and I only used like half of it. And let me think if I had it. Yeah, and I had it when I came over, but that data provider doesn't work here. The one that I would use here doesn't really work there. So when I came out of the airport, that's the one they gave me, even though I asked for the one I have now. And they were like, no, we don't have that here. They don't have Vodacom. So if y'all know, if you travel to Europe, Vodacom is a big one. And I just wanted to get the one that I knew. It's different over here anyway, even though you get the one that you know. So anyway, long story short, I needed Wi-Fi, because I was like, I can't figure anything out without being able to look something up. Like, I could sit in this lobby all day and that's not going to help me. And so the lady there got someone she called a couple people and then asked someone to take me to another apartment to take a look to see. And it happened to be owned by the same people I was originally going to rent from. So I was a little skeptical. I was like, and it was on Airbnb too. But the pictures the place that I stayed at before, like in January, the pictures on Airbnb were horrible. Not horrible, but like, why would I pick that? As opposed to the one I picked, which was great, and the place ended up being horrible. So anyway, she took me there, and long story short, basically, I ended up renting there, and I was paying more than I wanted to pay. I paid, but it was situationally better. And the reason I did it was because of the energy I got from the local who, first of all of these people were locals reaching out to assist me, because at this point I was in distress to a certain extent, because it was like I wasn't tripping, but I was like, I guess I gotta figure something out. And I was more agitated with the whole process of trying to get into the apartment. They took me to something else that I didn't book originally. It wasn't even the same building. It wasn't even named the same place. And I was like, this is not the same thing. And it had a crack in the window, smelled like curry all over. I mean, it was, and then they took me to another apartment. And I was like, no, this isn't what I rented. Then they took me to the one I rented, and I understand why they didn't. So I was more frustrated from that whole exchange than I was with the fact that, okay, you got to find something else. So I think my energy was off. I know my energy was off. But when I went to the place that they suggested I go and take a look at, the girl who greeted me, she was fantastic and so helpful and just everything. And I was like, okay, I just want to sit down, rest, whatever. She goes, well, if you want to come back, no rush, let us know. You stay here for a couple of days and then figure it out, And I was like, okay. So for like 3 days, I didn't pay no rent. I mean, I paid it in the end, but they didn't come and ask me. They didn't do anything. I basically, was like, okay, y'all stay here. But in that time, the second day, she took me around. No, actually, it was the third day. So we went to go pay the rent and everything. I decided I was going to stay. She showed me 2 apartments. I picked the pool apartment. So if y'all ever saw my yoga videos and there was a pool in the background, that's the place I was staying at. She introduced me to everybody, all the locals, all the people who come there and hang out. She also took me to a nearby coffee shop that is owned by some local people, introduced me to them. And the people who come there and hang out, they have a family table and people just come and sit. She's like, you're always welcome to come and sit at this table, but, it's open to do whatever. And the owners, you don't have to buy anything. If you want to just come and use the Wi-Fi and work, you are more than welcome to do that. All of these things. And just super nice people, extending any way that they could, just so many things that I can't even name. And she didn't have to do that. I mean, all she had to do was show me an apartment, so if you want it, you can have it. If not, you don't have to have it. And we still keep in contact to this day, along with all the other ones. And there's people that I run into now as if I've been here. And, it's like walking down the street, Ali, or whatever. And it's been really rewarding. Now, I haven't been invited to a wedding. I don't even know if I want to go to one because I went to an African wedding before. They're different. They're different in a neat way, but also different in a, okay, what do I have to participate in? What do I have to do? CPT is like 5 times worse than CPT in America. So if it says 5 o'clock, it ain't gonna start till 8, which means that if you had something planned at 10, you ain't gonna make it, things like that. Yeah, beach events, we do a lot of those types of things. The family dinner, it's interesting that you asked that, you added that to the list, because basically we consider each other family. So you know how y'all in the States, we say king and queen and brothers and sisters. That's literally how they address everybody. So everybody here is a Dada or, oh, excuse me, you guys. I don't know where that came from. Everybody here is a Dada or a Kaka, and Dada is a sister, and Kaka is brother. And so, like, you can be walking down the street, and people are like Dada, Dada, or Kaka's trying to get your attention. It's not Mr. or Mrs. or anything like that. It's sister or brother, and people tend to always. Uh, they're very family oriented. Let me just say that. One of the things that I notice here, and I know this isn't really what you're asking, but it's kind of like, makes me think about their structure as compared to our structure and what we're used to. Many of them live all together, even if they're in a modern setting. Let's say they have a son, and that son hasn't gotten married yet. That son likely still lives at home. Not all of them, but that son still likely lives at home. And when he gets married, they may live at home with the parents, depending on how big the house is, or live somewhere close in vicinities, things like that. And so when you talk about family, like they have what we call our extended family, which are our really close friends and things, and they have the same thing. But they welcome you in, and I think you basically have to do something kind of bad for you kind of be kicked out of the that network, so to speak. But I always felt welcomed. It didn't matter what every day, just it's more than just simply saying, "Hey, how are you doing, Ali?" Or it was more than that. There was more energy to it, and so much so that how, like I said, when you see people out in public or just in different places, and they come up like, "Oh my God, you're here," and it's so cool to see you again, or to see you, or and just making these connections and connecting people with other people, and then they're connecting me with other people, and I know some diasporans that are here and they're interested in this, that, and the other. Can I give them your number? And then also supporting the locals with diasporan, whether it's intellectual capital, financial capital, whatever we have that assists their country, because we know what their incomes are sourced by. So that's a long-winded answer to that question. Um, but I feel like I'm more in tune. So I'll give you another example. And I guess my video has become completely about answering your questions, because there were some good ones, both of you guys. Uh, the area I'm going to next, the friend of mine who I met in Tulum, so I don't even know this guy besides meeting him 5 months ago, and we talk regularly. He's into health and wellness, so we actually have a lot in common. But he was in Tanzania before, years before, and had spent some valuable time here. And he connected me with people that he calls family, and they have apartment complexes and villas up where I'm going. And one of them reached out to me and was asking what I needed, where am I going, how am I going to get there, did I need a ride, somebody's driving there, we can pick you up and bring you, and all of these things. And he's like, well, if there's not space at the apartment, we got one bedroom apartment, family rate, which it actually is cheaper than it is online with what they offer me. If there's no space there, you can stay at the house, at the villa, until an apartment opens up. All kinds of just different things, offering and assisting, and the person who's doing all of this, he's not even in this country. He's actually in the UK, and I thought he was actually here. And he was like, no, you're a friend of such and such. So all of those things I think are actually really awesome, because I don't know how much we extend ourselves in the States. And that's one of the things that I felt like was a takeaway. It was like a cultural gap bridger, is pulling from their culture to kind of mend ours a little bit, because I think we become estranged in the States because of things that have happened, because we separate so quickly. Our kids move out, or we're forced to move out, or we force our kids to move out. I've gone through that phase of, hey, you got to learn how to live your own life, and all of this, that, and the other. And most other cultures don't do that. Most of the time they stay with them, and you build a lot of skills. You learn a lot more. But we have a whole different mindset in the West. I've been to a really late African wedding too. Yeah, let me tell y'all. I mean, they pop off. They have a good time. No joke. But you got to be ready. You trying to be there on time at 5 o'clock, and everybody looking at you like, "Why you here?" You know. So anyway, let me go back to why Tanzania for me. Um, yeah, that was okay. So what did I miss? What I don't miss? Lessons learned. So lessons learned part learning part one. Let me just do that really quick. Um, and then I'm going to go to the why Tanzania. This kind of like what made me initially pick this area. Um, but like lessons learned is in everything I just shared about the family and friends and meeting people and building connections is to be careful, even still, because as a solo female traveler, regardless of my age, but I'm 49, I'm almost 50, but that means I'm seasoned, I guess, I've got some experience, is to not put all that, in a bucket and throw it aside and just think that everything's going to be hunky dory because, people show you around or you still want to gauge people's intent. Um, and people can take advantage of you when you're in a place where I'm not 2 hours away in Mexico. I'm 24 hours away on a flight that doesn't stop, and so you are kind of at some of these people's mercy, um, and you have to kind of function that way. So understanding that, number one, um, to stop romanticizing Africa. I'm gonna do a whole video on romanticizing Africa. I think that needs its own video. Stop romanticizing Africa. And so what that means is coming to a place where we want everybody to be our family. We are so happy to find our sisters and our brothers and, to break bread and to be in the same place and existence and to walk around every day. I mean, like I live here technically, but to do it in a way where you're still being cautious, you're still paying attention to things, and you're paying attention to the point of trying to understand the status of this country, the status of the people who live here, what it means to them to see you walking around. If you're really trying to engulf yourself in the culture, what does that really mean when we say it? What do we mean by that? And how are we going to do that? So my first thing for part one would be to stop romanticizing Africa. We could talk more about that later. Okay, so. Oh, thank you, Nikki. I need to do more of these a little bit more often. Y'all see, I'm already up to an hour. I was trying to do a 10-minute video. Anybody who knows me is laughing right now because I do have a 10-minute segment. It's called Speaking My Mind in 10 Minutes or Less, and I do stick to my 10 minutes on those, but I don't really have a discussion. I just do some bullet points and bam, we in and out. So anyway, I want to talk about why I am here. Like, how did I end up in Tanzania? Why did I pick Tanzania? And I'll leave the best one, probably the most important one, for last. But on just on a simplistic kind of basic level, why I came here. Number one, because I was looking at the map. I use this trip scheduler called 80days.me. And when I quit my job and I was deciding, I knew I was coming to the east side of Africa because I was on the west side before. And I was like, I want to come to the east side. There were a number of reasons for me deciding to come to the east side. And a lot of it had to do with proximity because of everywhere else I wanted to see. So I wanted to make my way all the way down the coast of Africa because one, I wanted to see the differences in the people. I wanted to see them, and what I mean by that is their culture. So my sister-in-law is from Kenya. Her family's from Kenya. and they come back every year. And so I just had this desire to see Kenya, and so I was like, well, I I also want to see Ethiopia because Ethiopian people are different than people from Kenya. They even look different. They look drastically different, to me anyway. And so, I wanted to experience that. I was like, well, that's right there on the border. Tanzania is right below it. I want to go to Zanzibar because who doesn't want to go to Zanzibar? And then I kind of wanted to just make my way around, stopped in South Africa because everybody said to go, even though I really didn't have a desire for South Africa. And I'll tell you why. It's because everybody says South Africa is like being in New York or being in Chicago. It's like being in the States somewhere. And I was like, well, I will leave the States to come to a place that looks just like the States within like a logical reason. I'm not talking about a place that has running water or anything, just basic like that. But when you come to places they speak English, that's actually kind of good. But it's also kind of it makes you lazy because you're not using any skills to learn anything. But proximity, guys, because on my list, in addition to the African countries I wanted to visit, I've been wanting to go to Istanbul. I've been wanting to go to Turkey. I've been wanting to go to Egypt. Tel Aviv is so high on my list, y'all. Let me tell y'all why I want to go to Tel Aviv. Because I heard that they are 95% vegan. That means that almost every restaurant outside of maybe one corner mom and pop shop that still got some pork or something like that. I don't even know if they eat pork over there, but I just said it just came out right. Um, all of their restaurants are vegan, or the majority are vegan. And just like in my mind right now, I'm sitting here going, what does that taste like? That's got to be amazing. Can you imagine walking around and everything is vegan? It's like a meat eater walking around in Tanzania and everything is meat, because literally everything here is meat. Everything is meat. So I wanted to do that. Obviously, there's other benefits to being in Tel Aviv, and then you're right next to Jordan. Who doesn't want to go to Jordan if you're that close? So there were places, um, excuse me, y'all, on my list that I wanted to go and see. So that was kind of like the just like the on the basic level, like, ooh, vicinity wise, I could like hop around. And this plan to come here was before COVID hit. So I had planned on I was teaching conversational English in Spain, and then I was gonna make my way down Africa. I hadn't quit my job yet. I was still trying to figure that out, how I was gonna do that. I didn't want to come back for 6 months. I was thinking about taking a sabbatical, all kinds of things. But I knew that this side was going to open up for all the other things that I wanted to see. Whereas the west side is cool. I really didn't have a desire to go to Ghana or Nigeria right out the gate. And I think it's because so many people were flocking there that I tend to try to stay away, until some of the hype dies down and that kind of thing. And then west of that is the US. And I was like, nope. Because if I'm standing on the west border, I feel like I could just do like this and see the United States. I can see the Statue of Liberty if I look like, I'm just playing. But y'all understand what I'm saying. So that was one of the reasons, was because, access and location, vicinity of all the other places that I wanted to see, besides, wanting to really make my way through the east side of this continent. I'm really nomadic. Like I was saying earlier, my tendencies are, after a certain amount of time, something has to change. And it's not always a bad thing. So, for example, when I had my house in Illinois, I lived in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. And one of the things I loved when I stopped renting and I bought my house was that I could do whatever I wanted. So the easiest thing for me, because I love changing my living room around, I loved moving stuff here and there. I bought one couch. It was a big recliner sofa. There's not many places you can move that. I had a pool table in my living room, TV, yada yada. I didn't have a bunch of chairs. I wasn't a big furniture person. Oh, I did have a chair, I think, but I wasn't a big furniture person. I didn't like to have a whole bunch of bulky things, but I like to change up things. So y'all know what I did? I painted on my walls like these. I would change the paint or splotches or whatever on my walls every like 2 or 3 months. It was like changing my duvet or spread, bedspread or whatever, bedspread. Do we still say bedspread? What's it called? A comforter. I think I just showed my age. Um, how you do that? You change it every week. You get tired of, you swap it out or whatever. Swap it out. Let's not swap it out. I don't even know how the song goes, but y'all know what I'm saying. So I would paint, like in one instance, I did like a sponge paint and I painted the spiral. So if you look at it, it looked like it was going like this, like your hair was going around and around and around. I painted a yin and a yang on one of my walls. I got some Chinese stencils and put the peace, love, and all that all over my walls. My house back in Texas, I have chalk walls, so you can write on the walls all the time. You don't have to repaint, so I just write on the walls. So even way before, I've always been a person of like, I don't have to like completely uproot, but I like to change things up. I like to see something different. And so I think I'm just naturally that spirited person where it's not like I gotta be moving all the time, but if there's something out there, and I said there's 171 or 132. No, it's like a 40 country difference. But I think there's like 171 countries. There's so much to see, you guys. There's just so much to see. What else? I think I kind of covered the majority of 2 and 3. So my main and last reason for why am I here was, and it still is, I think I started the video with this, to find myself. And not find myself like I'm lost, like, oh, woe is me. I am tinkering on the edge of disaster and I must find my plight in life. No, I know what my plight in life is, but find where, like we were talking about earlier, you guys, where I am at peace, where my nucleus is, where my, like you say, connections, my kind of home base, not just for myself, but the people that I surround myself with. Where's that at? Where's that going to be? Because one of the things I realized, big time, just in the last year, specifically as I've been traveling, is how much you need other people. How much we need other people to truly thrive. Because there's nothing that you can do 100% by yourself. You might not let somebody into your business venture. You might do that by yourself. But at some point, you're asking someone for some help for something. You are reaching out to someone with more knowledge or experience in something at some point in your life. So we all need someone. Every one of us has a purpose, and we are all here to give something to someone somehow in some fashion at some time. It might not always be something good, but people are feeding off of us, and we're feeding off of other people all the time. It's just a given. That's just something that's always happening. And so, in all of these things, finding who I am, and not necessarily to do anything different, but to be able to balance, for lack of a better word, better. Because one of the things I started really focusing on once I, got my, I was working on my second yoga certification, was, one of the things I talk about all the time in my wellness transformation consultation is balance. Everybody wants to say, take this out, cut this out, don't do this, don't do that. And I'm big on balance, because if you remove something that you crave, that you want, you're going to even, and you have not resolved what that is. It's called an addiction. It doesn't have to be, drugs per se, but a drug is anything. You could be addicted to love. You could be, I don't know, addicted to eating paper. Y'all know y'all ran out of things. Um, but finding that balance where you're not suppressing and keeping yourself from something that you want, which in turn is going to make you go and um, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, overindulge in it later, because you deprived yourself so much. It's the same concept of weight loss. So we go on these diets and we deprive our bodies and what we want, what we really want, because we haven't really given it up, and we just trying to fit into a dress, or we trying to, like, get our six pack together for the summertime, so come September we can just go pop it back out. Those are short term decisions. We're not actually making changes. And so one of the programs the overarching program is lifestyle transformation. So, and you make those transformations by slowly making changes and deciding that that's a change that you want to make. And so, in doing so, you have to create and find balance. And part of that is learning to listen to yourself, listen to your body. I grew up as a PK in church, and it was always, silence yourself so you can hear God speak. Well, God is within us. And so sometimes it's actually silencing yourself so you can hear yourself speak. And sometimes yourself could be your mind, it could be your head, it could be how you're feeling, it could be your gut, because your gut is your second brain. All of those things. And it's no different. That's no different than trying to find myself in my energy, the energies that are around me. Where am I most successful and flourishing in certain spaces, or where am I able to go and uh, retrieve what I need in order to be the best that I can be. So that's kind of the biggest thing. It's where can I walk around barefoot? And I mean that both physically and figuratively. Where can I be barefoot, um, and not really worry about stepping on glass and cutting my foot? So being at peace and being at calm in the space that I'm in. So those are some of the reasons. It was like, why am I here? It wasn't because, I didn't even think about, when I was thinking about coming to Tanzania, I wasn't thinking about safari, because I think of Kenya when I think of safari. Because actually, my girlfriend mentioned this to me today. About the giraffes at the restaurant or the hotel because I've been wanting to do that hotel where you can sit outside and the giraffes come up and eat your food. Well, since I've already had an encounter with a giraffe, and it's quite, it's remarkable, but it's also something that kind of grabs you, and it's overwhelming almost to a certain extent, but overwhelming in a good way. Like, oh my God, there's a whole giraffe like right there in my face. And maybe I should post that to YouTube. I'm gonna post that video to YouTube so y'all can see it. You go to my YouTube, it's Where's Ali. YouTube.com/C/Where's Ali, WHERESALI. It's also in the ticker on the bottom of the screen. But anyway, so I didn't even come for safari. I wasn't even really thinking about that. I just knew I wanted to be here. I hadn't really read up on Tanzania outside of Zanzibar, and the only thing was seeing the pictures. I knew I wanted to be somewhere warm for my birthday. That's what I typically try to do often, or at least somewhere that has some sunshine. And so I wasn't some of the Instagram type things that made me want to come here. It was some of the other things that I mentioned that, are a little bit off the beaten path, but maybe fall in line with more with kind of how I flow, my ebbs and my flows. So, I kind of started off originally. I was going to talk about women over 45 years old and traveling solo, and what that's like. But I'm going to save that for the next video because you know in all of this, the why am I here? There's goods and there's bads. That's going to be part two. The goods and bads of being in Tanzania. And I don't want to roll it to all of Africa because I haven't been to all of Africa, so I'm going to only speak about the places I've been to. But the good and the bad, the nice and the ugly uh, of being here, and kind of what you can expect. When you were saying you wanted to come and visit. The first thing I would suggest is de-romanticize Africa. Kind of remove this belief that it's milk and honey. Now, milk and honey are here in plenty, but it's not like walking into an avatar forest and the plants and the flowers just go and little things float from the sky and land on you and they're blessing you. It ain't like that. You know why? And I won't go here, but you know why it's not like that? Because we've lived in hundreds of years of colonization. So it's not what it was 400 years ago. The elements are still there. The masses of it are still there. But how things are run are, from governments from other places. And so I had to learn that I had romanticized Africa. I had romanticized what it would be like to be here. I mean, I've been to Senegal too, so I've experienced that. But that was only 6 days that I was there, and I was in Morocco. And I know that we don't really count it. I counted it when I went because I was like, now I'm on the continent. But for me and for a lot of Black Americans, or just Black diasporans, it really ain't Africa until you cross that sub-Saharan line, because it's a lot of the folks in the north don't necessarily recognize as they recognize as Africans, but not of the Black persuasion. And so, I've been here before, so I did have a little bit of an expectation of what it would be like. But I realized the more I think about it that I believed that it would not look different physically because I kind of had a clue from being in Senegal, and I'm kind of talking about Tanzania, but generalizing. But there's a psychological piece that I'm talking about that's beyond the physical that I was expecting. And I want to just forewarn everyone who's coming over here to kind of lift your expectation of what it's going to be like, what it's going to look like, what your access is going to be, that whole Dada and Kaka energy and exchange of energies and things like that, and what it really looks like. So I plan on doing more videos down the road to talk about all of these little bits and pieces because there's so much to this. There's so much to unpack coming to a country like this, given the history, our relationship to it. There's just a lot, and so I kind of want to talk about some of these things a little bit more in detail, but try not to yawn. but also give you guys an opportunity to ask questions, like do a Q&A, a Tanzania Q&A. Because I've been here, like I said, I've been here 3.5 months. I know a few things. Um, and I encourage any of you guys, if you have a desire to come to Africa, come on over. I know people are going to be like, why are you telling people to do that? We're in the middle of a pandemic. So I didn't say when to come over. Everybody use your own discretion to protect yourself and those around you, of course. Um, but keep it on your list. Keep Africa on your list of places to go. I'm hoping that I make it to, I want to go to Madagascar, but I hope I make it to Kenya, Ethiopia, Uganda, Lake Victoria, that area over there. I keep hearing marvelous things about those areas. That might be the milk and honey. I want to, see some other places, but also share with you guys to consider when you come and visit places like in different countries, but let's just say Africa, to be open minded about what you get, as opposed to what you expect. And just remember, like, if you see places that are developed in terms of, like, there are cities, like Dar es Salaam is huge, and it's a city. It's got that city vibe. But I live way north. Like, I live in the northeast suburbs technically, because I'm on the water side. And it's like being in a suburb, except there's some dirt roads and stuff like that. Some of the areas, but we're all paved out here as well. We're actually more paved than some of the more inland areas. And so, the things that I had to remember when I was grocery shopping, or when I'm walking up and down the street, or doing different things, is that places that are developed, in some instances, are worse than what we would consider rural areas. And what time is it? 9:30. Okay. Yeah, I've been up early, and I think I only slept a few hours, like maybe 4 or 5 hours. And that's because I normally wake up regardless of the time I go to bed. But anyway, but when you're in places that have the city life, like, there's a city here, there's rooftop bars, there's bars everywhere. I mean, I can walk around the corner, there's a place that we go to is around the corner. It's really nice. It's like an Americanized, it's something you would see in the West. It's a Johnny Walker bar, and they have like sections and colors and all the pillows and the plugs and all. It's so modern. And then you walk out, you on the dirt road. And when I say dirt, I mean desert road. It's crazy. It's some of the stuff is just like, it's like night and day, some of the things. So I definitely want to talk about some of that stuff, and just get you guys to ask me different questions about what I see, what I experience, things that you want to know, about the country, or just my experience. I'm pretty open about everything, and, unless it's something personal, but for the most part, everything I've experienced, I would love to share with all you guys. But on that note, it is about 1:23. I think I went over all the things that are shared with you. The reason I'm here, what I miss and don't miss. So the question that you have is actually in my list of things I was going to talk about. My lessons learned about romanticizing this continent, what it really is, and just out here winging it, y'all. I'm I'm living every day, and uh, I am energized by you guys, by my friends, by people I don't know even, that come on and say thank you so much for your videos. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Thank you for talking through some of this, because sometimes it's like we hear things, something a very simple task. But when you don't have the details around it, you don't kind of have the story that goes with it. You really don't understand, because one of the things that we do know, and the reason why I want to focus on the 45 plus solo female traveler, and specifically, but not exclusively, the Black solo female traveler, is because our experiences are different because of our surroundings, our social, economic backgrounds, our upbringing, the color of our skin can make things different for us. And so I want to talk about some of those things because it can change the expectation, and which means that it can increase the positive um, aspect of your journey, of your trip, of whatever your experience and things like that. Hey Jesse, is Tanzania really a safe place for single women to travel? I've been here 3.5 months, single, solo, and yeah, I'm smart, but I'm smart everywhere I go, whether I'm in Europe, whether I'm in the US, um, whether I was in Mexico or any other country that I've been in. I try my best to exercise common sense anywhere I am. And if I'm feeling, I have this spidey sense, if I'm feeling at all uncomfortable, sometimes I overthink things, so I create situations where I'm thinking of scenarios that could potentially happen. And and I know that's not always something that's going to transpire, but if that hits me and that begins to occur and my brain is going, okay, well, what if this happens, what if that, things like that, then I adjust my routine or what it is that I'm doing, and I go home. So for instance, I'll go to bars and stuff, and I may be 20, 30 minutes away. One of the things I want to talk to you guys is Uber. Their transportation, they got tons of. They got Uber and they got Bolt, y'all. And it can be like $2. You drive. They've been driving for 40 minutes. It costs you $2. So that's fantastic. But getting that Uber sometimes is not as easy um, as it may seem. Or not doing an Uber and just grabbing a cab or taxi, meaning like a bajaji or somebody on a motorcycle, because they give you rides on motorcycles too. Walking up to someone and saying, "Can you take me home?" But they don't speak English at all, because you'll notice a lot of those types of people, not types, but a lot of the locals who aren't using the apps and things, but they're just in certain areas where they know people party, or people, go and have drinks. It's a restaurant that's very um, popular or something like that. So they sit outside those because somebody's going to need a ride. And you go up to them, they don't speak English. And so you got to know a little bit. You got to know where you're going. I always say that maybe my second rule or part to lesson learned is always make sure, because I experienced this one, that you have Wi-Fi or you have a hotspot. Always make sure that you can connect to someone or something at all times, especially if you are by yourself. So yes, to me, it's very safe. Um, it's very safe in terms of walking around. And I mean, like I said, I'll leave in the morning or whatever, and I'll be walking around. The safety in terms of men, or certain types of situations and things, you got to pace yourself, embrace yourself. But you also have to do that when it comes to traffic. So safety when it comes to walking up and down these streets is almost as bad as dealing with some of these men. But I'm gonna tell you, and I'll try to keep this part brief about the men. Men are men. Men are men everywhere. There's good and there's bad. Some people feel that the men here are less aggressive than the U.S. I have found quite a few of them to be more aggressive. And when I say aggressive, I don't mean like they come up and grab your arm or grab my hair. I just wanted, okay, yeah. So anyway, it ain't like they come and they do stuff like that, but they um, use dictator type language a lot of times when they speak to females. And I associate a lot of that to the religion. not to speak bad about the religion, but it's such that the woman is supposed to be some steps down from the man, and he is the leader. He's the one who walks in front, literally and figuratively. And women have to be fully covered, and they don't do that really here. It's conservative, but a little less conservative. You go out at night here, you would think you are at a club in New York, straight up. Like I was like booty shorts, but wait a minute, you just had on a full bra. Yeah, so it like flips the script here. But so in those instances, you have to be mindful and careful, because a lot of times you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. You can catch a bajaji home, which is the three-wheeler tuk-tuks, right? And you know where you're going home, but they take another route because traffic is crappy at the weirdest times of day, and it could be like that for hours. You could be going like literally 1 mile, and it'll take you 25 to 30 minutes. In a bajaji, you could ride on the sidewalk, and it still take you 30 minutes, right? But one of the things that they do is they take side roads. They just veer off. And so the reason why I say make sure that you got Wi-Fi or that you downloaded the map is so that you can at least follow where they're going. Also, this is another lesson learned. It's not a lesson learned. It's something I was doing in the States. Is make sure that you add someone to your Uber and share your rides with them. If you're ever concerned about anything, but you got to get home, you really don't have another option, make sure you do those types of things as precaution so somebody at least can look at have that last ticker of where you were supposed to be. And if you live with people, like I've got roommates, let them know when you're leaving, let them know when you're going out. If you're going out on a date, let them know that hey, I'm going on a date with somebody I met, this is where we're supposed to be going. And be responsible and do little check-ins. But I don't think that's any different than what we do in the States. Can it be aggressive? I would say that the men here are not as aggressive as they were in Senegal. Senegal, they you know, and I'm talking about like wanting to date you aggressive. That's different than a cabbie kind of aggressive because you get that here. Like they bombard you, they will be all up in your face, trying to get you to take their cabbie or buy something from them. They're not really pushy like that in the buy type. But if you go somewhere and you're at a selling mart or something like that, or you're trying to catch a bajaji home, they will literally be their friend and they're outbidding their own friend to get your money. And so paying attention when you say safe, it means so many things to me. I think more in terms of making sure that you are not being taken advantage of from a financial standpoint, um, and uh, and that you're not allowing people into your space too soon. Because one of the things I think we do as Americans, like I said, or diasporans, is that we want so badly to find our people and be connected to our people that we let them into our spaces and disclose what we have when we don't know what their intent is. So in those respects, be mindful, uh, but exercise the same level of or maybe a little bit more, because I know some people maybe don't exercise too much safety in the state. But just be smart. Be that person that's in the back of your head. What would your mother say? And just know that one of the things they will tell you here, and I'll end with this, is they will tell you that they are offended when you tell them that you're concerned that you might get kidnapped. They say we don't do that here. We don't do that, and technically I kind of believe them that they don't do that here. But what they will do is they will take advantage of you from a financial standpoint because you don't have another out. So always make sure that you can move around. Um, Physically move around, get to your destination safely without being taken advantage of. So I'll give more tips on that on another one of the videos on something that I quickly adapted within the last couple of weeks, or not quickly, but I eventually adapted over the last couple of weeks. Um, with kind of just maneuvering and moving from place to place and just being vigilant in different things. So stay tuned for part 2 of this conversation. Jesse, no worries. Thank you for asking those questions. You know, I like to make sure I can share something that is beneficial to you guys, with you guys, for whatever your travel plans may be. So, anyway, if you guys please would not mind, if you're still on here, to go to my YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This video will actually be posted there after I end this. But it's if you search for Where's, WHERES space ALI, you will find me. I'm standing in a yoga position on the side of a cliff of Glory Island in Senegal. You can't see all of that, but that's where I was in that photo. So you'll see me on there. Please subscribe, follow my channel, share with others. I'm actually trying to do videos. I can't do lives on there yet. I'm trying to get my subscription numbers up. So it's free $99 for you guys to subscribe, and help me reach my goal so that I can, start sharing more with other people, because there are so many people with some of the same questions that you guys have, and they don't really have an outlet to share those kinds of things, or to receive that type of information firsthand from someone with boots on the ground. So I want to be able to provide that type of information in detail with you guys. So, like I said, you guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. This is another day in the life with Ali. Hopefully you'll join me for another day, another time. I will definitely be broadcasting or doing something live or something when I move to my next location, so that you guys can kind of see it in motion. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that, and there won't be any stress situations. Fingers crossed, y'all, that I can get my bus ticket tomorrow, and then from there we'll do whatever is coming next. So I will chat with you guys another day and another time. And like I said, if you guys are on, if you're on YouTube, you can continue to comment here. Let me know what other things you guys want to know about, and I'll prepare some speaking points and things like that to areas that you have questions specifically about, and we can talk. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys know my drill. Toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease. If I did this, I'm just gonna say this before I go. If I did this and I send it to you, what do y'all do? If I send it to you, what are you gonna do? That's how I know you are super, super cool, if you know what to do when I send that to you. So anyway, guys, let me get out here.